LSU Odyssey is live now on your network, in your mind, starting now. Hello, everybody. Until we get YouTube to stop being such copyright douches, we'll have to make up our own music. LSU Odyssey live. Does it make you feel alive? LSU Odyssey live. That's what it would sound like. That's what it would sound like. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Some type of R&B type of early 90s kind of flavor. You know, it was a time of freebase cocaine and OJ getting away with stabbing people. Michael Jordan. You know, it was the 90s, guys. It was Bill Clinton. I guess it was an era where Jeffrey Epstein was able to just do whatever he wanted and run this country. And that is for another podcast. That is for another time. Hell, that might even be another universe altogether. And here, you know, you might be in a new universe altogether, just stepping into this show. I'll say that. LSU Odyssey live here on a Sunday night where, you know, Lane Kiffin is cutting it close here with these quarterbacks. Whether you're able to get the names I'm talking about tonight, whether you're able to secure the players that I talked to you about tonight, that we discussed tonight, whether that happens or not, I still think you've got to grade this pretty low for Lane Kiffin from what was expected coming in, especially specifically when it revolves around the quarterback position. I mean, and the fact that there were so many quarterbacks out there, there were so many top options, and maybe people don't agree with that. Maybe people think that it's a shitty class, and guys like DJ Lagway have no future. Guys like, you know, Brendan Sorsby aren't that good. You know, fill in the blank. Say it's a weaker class, and say maybe the field isn't that strong. I still think there are guys that you could have at least put yourself in an advantageous position where you wouldn't find yourself in this situation where you are at the mercy. Because this could be a very difficult situation where you have some options here. And I like a few of these options, but none of them really are proven. Actually, I take that back. One is proven. None of them are proven in the SEC. And the other has an injury that could keep them out long into the summer. I mean, might even miss the first week of fall camp. That's the type of injury that this other quarterback has. And at this point, you know that I'm talking about the two quarterbacks are Sam Leavitt, and of course now introduced into the situation, Houston Longstreet, into the quarterback sweepstakes. Houston Longstreet out of California went to Centennial High. Okay. Longstreet's just left USC after a freshman year, where the most he played in any game was the second half of the Missouri State game. And small amount of numbers, small amount of playing time. Let's see here. Okay. For Longstreet, he's got 4 games played, 13 of 15 passing, 105 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions, 76 rushing yards, 11 carries. You do love his high school numbers. um, electric. His best season was that junior year, 3,000 yards passing. Did some amazing work on the ground as well, carrying the football 7.9 yards per carry. Whew. So, I was saying it the other day. Is this kind of an era where Kiffin, okay, I know I have some time here. Instead of rushing this, we're going to get a guy that we could spend multiple years developing. And then we'll also get a guy that maybe is going to be one and done for sure. And we kind of see which one, makes it happen, which one takes over the starting job. And those two are our quarterbacks. We have the project nipping at the heels of the veteran one and doneer, the mercenary. And if you go into that situation, Houston Longstreet is your project, with Sam Leavitt being your one and doneer. And I'm telling you how this could happen. And if Kiffin pulls it off, I think it's a minor miracle, considering the absolute disaster that this situation has become, truly and honestly. Like, you can sugarcoat this as much as you want. You can kiss ass as much as you want. You can be Sugar Plum Fairy and just say that, oh, everything Kiffin does is perfect and there's no problems with anything. Oh, but I want to get the follow. I want to get the retweets. Okay. But this was a disastrously held situation. Disastrously constructed situation where it's almost unfathomable that LSU found themselves in a situation where they would be left kind of at the dance without the partner, without the quarterback. And that's where you're at right now. And you've got some options. You've got Longstreet, you've got Leavitt, and then you also have Landon Clark, who potentially could be committing out of Elon. We'll have to see where he commits. There's a few schools that are after his services, and obviously he'd be seeing that he would, the other guys in front of him, or potentially one of the two. Is he wanting to be a backup? Is he comfortable with that, or does he want to be that starting guy? Obviously, Kiffin's going to let them all compete, and Kiffin's going to play the best guy, no matter how, everyone expects Austin Simmons to be the guy. And injury or not, Trinidad Chambliss was going to take over this team. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, you have seen Kiffin do this before at the quarterback position, as far as, I'm going to do what's right for the team. This guy is the hot hand. We're going with him. And he likes to have these multiple quarterbacks so that, okay, we're going to go with this guy now. We're going to go follow this hand, follow this lead. And that is a very tough situation to kind of straddle when you have to play politics. You have to play nice. You don't want to push anyone too far one direction or the other. You have to keep your cards close to your vest while being as open as possible. And I hate to say this out loud, but it's all a little game that is just played, a little dance. And hopefully it works out for these quarterbacks that are at the mercy of it. But they know what type of they have to know. If you're a quarterback at this point, you have to know what type of game that you're involved in when it comes to college football and NFL, and how you can go from being irreplaceable, the number one guy, the franchise completely hinges on, to the most disposable person on the planet, like that. And that's what makes the quarterback position so insane. You get everybody hired or fired. You get everybody rings, or, the fat lady sings. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's... And so Kiffin, you knew we've been telling you this from the beginning. And I don't even know why anyone thought that this was crazy. I don't know why anyone thought that this was controversial. But some people were aghast sending me crazy DMs after I said that LSU are going to need to get multiple quarterbacks out of this portal. I had no clue why my messages, my inbox was greeted with a bunch of messages of LSU can't sign 2 quarterbacks in this portal. What are you talking about, you idiot? And I'm like, didn't you just see Michael Van Buren enter the portal? Didn't you already kind of anticipate that happening? I guess maybe they didn't, and maybe I had information that they didn't, and so I kind of just took that pre-knowledge for granted, and maybe they just weren't expecting Van Buren to leave like I was. But it was like, even if Van Buren stayed, you're needing to get multiple quarterbacks. What are we talking about here? And there's a lot of people, not just old school guys, not just guys who maybe aren't as informed, but like message board diehards who are like, he says we have to get multiple quarterbacks. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I'm like, well, what are we talking about here? Is this 2025? What are we doing here? Like, do you know what day and age this is? Like, duh, we have to get multiple quarterbacks. And so this situation might actually fall right into place and be like as good as LSU could possibly get. Because here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Sam Leavitt, news could break the second you watch this. It could already be settled. Things have been moving so quick that Sam Leavitt goes to, some other big school, whatever. But I have a feeling like Sam Leavitt is really conflicted, and also at the same time doesn't have as many options as he thought he would. I think he's felt more of the critics. I think he's felt more of the questions about his Liz Frank ankle injury and the severity of it and his availability and what his status is going to be going through fall. And as far as like, are you going to be that locker room presence, or is like the backup going to be the guy taking most of the reps? Like, are you going to even be around, or is this like a payday? You hang out, get bloated, smoke a bunch of weed on campus, not having to do any type of schoolwork, and then we're just gonna like throw like what type of situation? That's gonna be a recipe for disaster. And so, by the way, that was not me trying to say that Sam Leavitt smokes weed. I'm just throwing that out there as like a bad habit or something when there's idle time. But I think Sam Leavitt is finding that he doesn't have a lot of options either. And maybe a school will pay him or something. And maybe this is the one way we can really get to LSU is make sure we get Leavitt and bring him in or something. Like, maybe. But I think Leavitt and LSU kind of are desperate and kind of need each other. But you don't like that that's how this is set up, that they kind of needed each other and neither was each other's first choice. Oh my God, guys. There's a chocolate called a turtle egg. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. And I just saw it and I'm like, surely that's not that good. Oh my God. Mm. 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 They said that all they had to do to talk John Wilkes Booth into assassinating Abraham Lincoln was chocolate. Mm. That was a terrible joke. I'm sorry. That was. That joke wasn't even funny. It ripped on one of the best presidents ever, probably the best. I almost said the breast. And yeah, I that wasn't really a funny joke at all. It was kind of stupid. I'm sorry about that. So I have a feeling that Leavitt is going to be left with no option but LSU. I could be wrong. Maybe Ole Miss would be like, no, we have to sign Leavitt. And they're like, well, we just got Dylan Raiola or whoever the hell they just signed. Or Deuce Knight, isn't it? I think it's Deuce Knight. No, we have to also sign Sam Leavitt just to say fuck you to LSU. Like, I could see them doing that. Like some type of like 80s movie where like the bad guy's like, we got to get revenge, bro. So expect a bit of attrition, but I also expect Leavitt to be like, as shady as that was, Kiffin and whatever, maybe we can make this work. Maybe we can make this work. I also could expect him to be like, nope, the ship sailed. You completely crossed that line. And right now, the information I'm getting, and I'm reporting from right here. I'm not sharing an opinion. I'm going to tell you when I report things on this show from now on, so people aren't confused. That was an opinion. This is now a report. I have no idea exactly because I'm getting so many different, well, not so many different, but at least 3 different, very, very wildly different stories that are backed up by like 2 of them are backed up. One of them is not. The most convincing one is not backed up, while the most implausible are backed up. So I'm trying to sort through that. I'm trying to figure that way through, because it would really be a big win after all LSU's been through in this quarterback fiasco, where you have gone from Sorsby to Leavitt and then to Damon Williams suddenly, back to Leavitt, rejection to Houston Longstreet, and then hopefully Leavitt at the same time. Landon Clark being involved now. You have a chance here to end up with Sam Leavitt. Okay, maybe you're going to be your number 1 guy, but is he going to be available? We will see how he gets through the rehab. But if he isn't, you have Houston Longstreet, former 5-star quarterback, right there waiting to take that spot, and a dual threat guy at that. And maybe your defense isn't as good as it was last year. But if you can hold teams to 19, 20 points per game like you did last year, and you have a Lane Kiffin offense, LSU should be winning double-digit games. Let's just do the math. The points those teams put up on average, regardless who's been quarterback. You could even pick the most garbage Lane Kiffin quarterback, like Jake Coker or something like that. And that's as bad as it got. And Jake Coker is pretty damn good in considering quarterbacks in the totality. But Kiffin doesn't really produce a bad quarterback or sign one or pursue one. So Houston Longstreet, I'm very intrigued by the dude. I'm very intrigued by him. Out of California. Now, the last time LSU signed a brother out of California, his name was Jaden Daniels. Okay. So keep that in mind. He's also got these interesting measurables as a player, Houston Longstreet. He's a type of player LSU haven't had, or I should say, the type of quarterback LSU haven't had in a while, where he is, how do I put this? He's not just like a dual threat quarterback. He's rangy in how he plays. I feel like he's not as much of a dual threat attack as say Jaden Daniels, of course. Jaden Daniels averaged like a first down every freaking play in college. Like that's hard to replicate that, man. But you then have Joe Burrow, who had over, I think, almost 500 yards rushing in 2019, something like that, and 5 touchdowns. Let me make sure of those numbers so I don't just spout stuff off. But I swear to God, Joe Burrow had a lot of rushing yards in 2019. I swear it was like almost 500, something like that. Okay, let me see real quick. But point is I feel like Houston Longstreet, not trying to compare them to either of the two. I'm just trying to use them as examples. I think he's kind of the profile in the middle of those two. 2019, Joe Burrow rushed for 368 yards and 5 touchdowns. And remember, he also caught his own pass, I believe, against Georgia, where the pass gets swatted and he catches his own pass. So my point in bringing up Burrow, my point in bringing up Jaden Daniels, not to say Houston Longstreet, sign him, he's going to win the Heisman, yes. I'm merely trying to throw them out as examples of profiles of quarterback that I think we all can understand just from hearing the name. Jaden Daniels is to the extreme of superb dual threat quarterbacking Excalibur, you know. I bet that was the last word you expected me to use. And then Joe Burrow is like this passing Diometrius, just like a complete like Amadeus of I don't know. I'm just thinking all of this Greek shit in my head right now. All this ancient madness, giant jawbones. But Joe Burrow, what he could do with throwing the football, an aerial assassin, a complete aerial dominator. And then you have him rushing the football to kind of complement that and just kill teams with these like 3rd and 5, clinching conversions, those type of things. Houston Longstreet, from his tape at Centennial High, I think he's the kind of this best of both of those worlds in a mixture of a profile. He's not too tall, only 6 feet, but I feel like he plays tall. I feel like the way he throws the football, his vision is something I really like about him, about Longstreet. He can see the field in an interesting way where he doesn't make too many mistakes, doesn't make too many errors. Let's get an exact. We had his. We're going through as much film as we could find on Houston Longstreet. 43 touchdown passes in high school to just 10 picks. 10 interceptions in 479 attempts. It doesn't really take a mathematician to understand that, every 47.9 attempts he's throwing an interception on average. That's pretty damn good marks. 43 touchdowns, 10 picks. No, 1 touchdown, 0 picks, 13 of 15 at USC, and some cameo performances. Mostly he played in that second half against Missouri State where he had 69 passing yards and was pretty efficient. He's going to be clean, and he's going to be mostly a pocket passer who has that escapability. I think that's the type of player that you're going to get out of Houston Longstreet. But then you guess what? You can run a RPO rushing quarterback system with him as well. It's not going to be as effective as it would be with Sam Leavitt, but it could still be pretty damn effective. And I think Kiffin, the way he designs things with Charlie Weiss Jr., they get into the lab, him and Joe Cox, George McDonald, receivers, passing game coordinator, the way they design these things, I think it's going to free up a lot of like wide open spaces for a quarterback with legs to attack. And I think LSU've got to get a dual threat quarterback. You've missed on many options here. Sam Leavitt is a really good dual threat quarterback. Houston Longstreet, unproven, but he has the attributes to maybe be able to do it. Maybe. And you have to have one of these quarterbacks, at least one of these quarterbacks, be a dual threat guy. You cannot strike out on Houston Longstreet and Sam Leavitt. You've got to get one of these two. And it was cool to see Houston Longstreet hanging out with Lane Kiffin at the women's basketball game, at the PMAC. He gets to get the flavor of the area, of the, all the people. And it was Michael Bassigalupi, Michael Bashigal. Michael, I'm sorry. Michael, I'm trying. I'm good at pronunciation, but your name is killing me right here. Michael Bashigalupi took the photo of Houston Longstreet that I'm looking at right now, posted by Matt Moscona from a few hours ago. And here's the thing. Houston Longstreet is not going to be that name that you go, oh, yeah, we got Houston Longstreet, like a Trinidad Chambliss or one of these sexy names right now. But was Trinidad Chambliss a sexy name 12 months ago or even like 7 months ago? No, he was, he became a sexy name. He played his way into being a sexy name like 3 months ago. Like it was like early October. He beats LSU and kind of takes his trajectory, to the ultimate and beyond, and takes Ole Miss where they'd never been before. And congrats to that kid. Now denied a waiver. He's going to be going to the NFL, and hopefully he does well. I like Trinidad, but I see a very interesting story here that's brewing where it's like Houston Longstreet was at USC. It's not like this is some scrub. This is a former 5-star. And you saw what Lane Kiffin could do with a D2 quarterback in Trinidad Chambliss. As good as he is, as good as, D2 tag, all that bullshit aside, just look at the breadth and the width and the circumference and the spherical symmetry of Lane Kiffin's quarterbacking similitude. If that's the right word. I'm not sure if that's even a word or if I just made it up, but it seemed right. But if you look at all of that combined, Lane Kiffin, from Jalen Hurts to Jackson Dart to Matt Corral to Matt Leinart. I mean, the guy has really ushered in as many different quarterbacking greats, guys who've gone on to win Super Bowls, guys who've gone on to win national championships with Kiffin as their play caller, as their coordinator. And guys who went to, a semifinal with Kiffin as the head coach until, his athletic director kicked him out and wouldn't let him finish the job. But you have Houston Longstreet, who's had more advantages and has had more favorable evaluations his way, more love. And then at the same time, his name has been under the radar. And I like all of this combination of things for Longstreet at LSU. No real intense pressure. It's year one. Okay. That could be something where you could win immediately. And it just all depends on him and all depends on his development in the Kiffin offense. And I just think trust the evaluations. LSU hired Lane Kiffin for a reason. It's because he maximizes every dollar, and he's made a lot of these quote unquote no-name guys from really small schools into absolute superstars in college football and in the SEC too. So don't be mistaken when we think that, oh, Kiffin can't do that. He can definitely do that. But when you're talking about taking a guy from USC, just because you don't know, I mean, that's still, he's a former 5-star. I mean, it's pretty high pedigree there. Even if it's unknown to others, it isn't to Kiffin. And then you get Sam Leavitt, and you have to really make it clear to him that LSU is his best option. And what you can build around him and the vision you have for, hey, if this is one and done, this is the way forward. And it's obviously built around what he can do as a dual threat quarterback. But that's another thing. This injury how much does that take away from what Leavitt can do with his legs? So, okay, we've delved way into that, and now we've got some comments. We got a lot of comments, actually. Mickey07 says Longstreet is the quarterback of the future, and you're meaning at LSU, right? King Cole Adams, my man, he says we need a starter and 2 project quarterbacks. The Elon kid and Houston are projects. They need a lot of footwork and recognition. Where do we find a starter? And it's got to be Sam Leavitt, That's why I'm like, you've got to get Leavitt and you got to get Houston Longstreet. And then you get this Landon Clark, and that's the fantastic trio right there. That really, this situation was down in the dumps, no hope at all, and then maybe you're able to pull out of it some silver lining, a quarterback room that at least can work for you this year. Because I hate to say it, you really screwed the situation big time, and you could have really made a play for a number of guys, and nailed one of these guys down, and I don't know why it didn't happen. I take that back. I know why it happened. It's just there's a lot of factors to it, and that goes from public perception to personality fit to scheme fit. There's just and also the is this coach going to actually be there or not? Kind of paranoia as well that was going around. But you're right. This is what I've been saying the whole time, Cole. You're an everyday listener and watcher as well. I've been saying this, that we have needed not just 2, but likely 3 quarterbacks this entire time. Mickey says Leavitt injury is a big factor. Yep, when it's that ankle, it is definitely going to be. Let's see. I'm pretty sure Landon Clark has just committed to LSU. Is that correct? Did I get that wrong? Let me ask. Oh, and then there's someone, David Nola, in the chat also saying Landon Clark to LSU. Well, I'll just ask Landon right now. Look at his page and all that. Yep, he did. That's fantastic. Landon Clark has committed to LSU, as he just announced. We actually asked Landon if he wanted to announce his commitment live on our show. And he seemed down for it, but ultimately, I guess he chose not to. That would have been cool. We are hoping to bring sneak a surprise on you. I mean, if you guys think that we're not constantly trying to make things happen, constantly trying not to not surprise you guys with crazy shit, then you're in for a big surprise in that way, because we are constantly trying to do this stuff. We're constantly trying to just blow your guys' mind, and we've been able to do it a few times. We've been able to do it many times over the years, but I want to be able to do that for you guys every single time you watch this show. Guys, thank you so much for your time and for watching us and checking us out. We are going to have Jimmy, Ole Miss fan. Hopefully he'll be man enough to face us. We'll be having Jimmy, Ole Miss fan, live on an LSU Odyssey edition debate, where I'm going to kick his ass in a debate show. And we're going to get down and dirty about LSU and Ole Miss, and why there is such hatred, why the rivalry has been renewed, why this guy would pay his own money to go to Houston, travel to Houston, and buy tickets to the Texas Bowl to watch LSU play Houston when his team is in the college football playoff. We're also going to ask him how he felt about Miami, finishing off his Ole Miss when they're right there at the doorstep of being able to finally play in a title game, and how this was their first playoff trip and ever, and postseason journey ever. And we're going to get into all of that and why LSU is the big brother and always will be of Ole Miss, and how Ole Miss continues to be the redheaded stepchild of the SEC and will continue to be from thenceforth. But Jimmy, I hope you are watching. I hope you are listening, my friend. We have a date with destiny. We have a show to do. We have a debate to make happen. Everyone wants it. Everyone wants the showdown. LSU versus Ole Miss. LSU Odyssey versus Jimmy Ole Miss fan. Let's make it happen, Jimmy. Everyone bombard Jimmy Ole Miss fan. Here is his private cell phone. Just kidding. We're not going to put out his number, but we're definitely going to text him ourselves, send him the link to the show, and say, we're challenging your ass once again, Jimmy, because he ducked us once, and he won't be ducking us again. Everybody, have a good rest of your Sunday. We'll be talking to you soon. Go Tigers, baby.